Looking for a way to support the MTGGoldfish.com YouTube channel and website? Well, pick up a Scoops Hero of Jank playmat from MTGGoldfishmerch.com today. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Monday means it's Modern Monday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and today we are looking at a deck that is built for the new London Mulligan rule. The rule is out on Magic Online, and this weekend we have a Mythic Championship featuring Modern and testing the London Mulligan rule, and this might be a deck that has always been floating around on the fringes of Modern. I think we actually deck teched it a long time ago, maybe played it on stream once a long time ago, but this is the type of deck that might go from the absolute fringiest fringes of Modern to being a deck that we could even see on the Pro Tour stage, and that is Narset Combo under the London Mulligan rule. So we're going to break down perhaps the scariest deck in Modern with this rule being in effect, because good lord is this deck scary. And this version of the deck comes from Frank Karsten, who not only wrote a little bit about the deck, but mentioned that he did 20 test games, and I believe, if I'm remembering his numbers right, he won on turn 1 or turn 2 more than 50% of the time. More than 50% of the time, turn 2 win in Modern. That is the power of Narset Combo with this new Mulligan rule. So anyway, a quick reminder before we break down London Narset Combo. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you could do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So, before we start talking about this deck, I should refresh everyone on the London Mulligan rule, just in case you're not familiar with it. So, London Mulligans, basically, instead of mulliganing from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, you always mulligan back to 7. So, your first mulligan, you draw 7. Your second mulligan, you draw 7. Third mulligan, you draw 7, etc., etc., etc. And then when you're done mulliganing, you gotta put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck for each time you mulligan. So, if you mulliganed 3 times, let's say, you're gonna end up putting 3 cards of your choice on the bottom of your deck, keeping the 4 cards you want most, and this rule greatly impacts a deck like Narset Combo, which is looking to do one very specific thing and for a couple of very specific cards. So let's walk through this deck. So the main combo piece of this deck is Narset Enlightened Master. 6 mana, 3/2, first strike, hexproof, whatever. The big deal is, when it attacks, you exile the top 4 card of your library, and you get to cast any non-creature spells you hit for free. So that is the ability we're looking to abuse, and the idea of this deck, it's built in a way where if we can attack one time with Narset, we should be able to parlay that into winning the game. But we'll wrap back around to Narset. But first we gotta talk about how we get Narset on the battlefield on turn 1, turn 2. So the cards we're looking for as we go through the London Mulligan process are pretty specific. So the most important one is Goryo's Vengeance. Goryo's Vengeance allows us to get a hasty Narset on the battlefield for just 2 mana, which means way faster than its 6 mana converted mana cost. Also, Spoils of the Vault can be our proxy Goryo's Vengeance. Yes, we exile a bunch of cards, but we're gonna find what we need. It's risky, we could kill ourselves, but that's the risk that we take. Because the idea of this deck, it's not, oh, okay, we might die, okay, we might win on turn 6. We are all in on winning as quickly as possible, and if we die sometimes in the process, that's fine. So, Goryo's Vengeance, extremely important. That's one of the cards we're looking for. So, obviously, something like Narset, Faithless Looting, Goryo's Vengeance, that is a great combination of cards in our hand. We can Faithless Looting on turn 1, turn 2, Goryo's Vengeance, Narset, win the game. So that's one of the 3 card combos we're looking for as we mulligan. We're also looking for a kind of a less traditional way of going about this, which is Syrup Powder and Spoils of the Vault. So we talked about Spoils of the Vault being used to find Goryo's Vengeance. Well, we also have Pull from Eternity in our deck, which is 1 mana, put a exiled card that's face up from the exile zone into the owner's graveyard. So while Serum Powder and Spoils of the Vault help us find our combo pieces, they're also kind of tutoring for Narset in a weird way. So Serum Powder, free mulligan essentially. We exile our hand, we get to draw a new hand of that number. So a free mulligan that exiles our existing hand, spoils, exiles the cards that we whiff on. So if we have a Serum Powder, for example, in our opening hand, we can spin again to try to draw a better opening hand, and maybe exile Narset and find a pull from Eternity. And if we have Narset in exile from Serum Powder or Spoils of the Vault, and we can use Pull from Eternity very much like a Faithless Looting, another way to have Narset in the graveyard on turn number 1 to go off and win with Goryo's Vengeance on turn number 2. The other power of Serum Powder is combine that with the London Mulligan rule, and the odds of his hitting our 2 to 3 card combo in our opening hand, like those piles that just win us the game. Narset, Faithless Looting with Goryo's Vengeance. Narset, Faithless Looting with Spoils of the Vault. A bunch of Serum Powder exiling into Pull from Eternity into Goryo's Vengeance, or Spoils of the Vault to find Goryo's Vengeance. It gives us so many looks at 7 cards to try to find that 3 card combo to win the game, that the odds are extremely high now compared to how it used to be under the old Mulligan rule, and that's why this deck is legitimately scary now compared to just being a fridge deck that won 20% of the time. It does its thing so consistently now with the new Mulligan rule. So how do we actually win with Narset? And the idea here is we're going to use it to cast some really big spells for free. So first off, once we get our hasty Narset, we attack, we exile 4 cards. If we hit Fury of the Horde, it just gives us another attack step, which exiles 4 more cards that we can cast for free. So that's kind of one of the good hits. The I win hit, though, is Enter the Infinite and Omniscience. So the end game for this deck is eventually to cast an Omniscience for free. So when we attack with Narset, if we enter the Infinite, we're able to stack our deck in a way where we have all of the cards in our deck in our hand, and Omniscience is the 1 card left in our library, which means when we next attack with Narset, with that Fury of the Horde attack, we're able to guarantee that we have Omniscience, which is the only card left in our deck. Our library will be completely empty. Then we play the Omniscience, then we get to cast everything for free, which means our other finishers, Griselbrand, Emrakul the Eon's Torn, so we have Narset, we have Emrakul, we have Griselbrand, we just cast everything on the battlefield, and these cards also backup plans if we don't get an Narset in the graveyard. Being able to Goryo's Vengeance at Emrakul or Griselbrand, that's perfectly fine as well. They're kind of backup Narsets. They don't automatically win the game in one attack like Narset usually does, but they're still very, very powerful. So we hit the Omniscience, cast all of our stuff for free, but you're thinking, wait, we take an extra shot with Emrakul, we have no cards in our library, we're going to mill ourselves out, but since we drew our whole deck, we'll also have Noxious Revival, which we can use to stack cards back on top of our deck. The other trick with Noxious Revival is if we hit a Fury of the Horde and cast it off our Narset, we can Noxious Revival, put Fury of the Horde back on top, which gets us another attack with Narset, 4 cards deeper for free in our library, so we can just keep doing that until we eventually hit the right combination of cards that allow us to win the game. But the end game, Enter the Infinite, Omniscience, the 1 card in our library, Omniscience for free with Narset attacking, cast our Emrakuls, cast everything we need to, Noxious Revival so we don't mill out, and win with that huge attack, hopefully on turn 1 or turn number 2. I guess maybe +1 turn because we technically are going to our extra turn with Emrakul, but still, really, really quickly in the game. Otherwise, Conflux, another good hit with our Narset to draw us a bunch of cards. We can find our Noxious Revival, put whatever we want back on top, find another Goryo's Vengeance, find Manamorphose, find whatever we need to with the Conflux if we hit it. Manamorphose, just a free redraw that is fixes our mana as well. Otherwise, 1 copy of Lightning Axe, basically a removal spell that can also discard our Narset or our Griselbrand or our Emrakul. Symbiote Spirit Guide, this is how we can win on turn 1. In theory, if we have the right combination of like Manamorphoses, Symbiote Spirit Guides, fast mana, we can theoretically turn 1 Narset combo kill with this deck by exiling Spirit Guide for Faithless Looting, etc, 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 set up the kill like Symbiote Spirit Guide, Faithless Looting, a black source, discard our Narset, reanimate it with Goryo's Vengeance, start attacking, win the game on turn 1. So that's our easiest way to win on turn 1. The other way we can win on turn 1 is if we are on the draw and we have our Gemstone Caverns, which is like +1 mana. So it's another card that goes into that win even faster combo. Most of our lands just tapping for mana of any color. Again, yes, they're painful. Yes, it's going to hurt us. Yes, over the long game, this mana base is not going to be ideal. But we're not playing the long game with this deck. We are trying to kill on turn 2. That is a plan, and it happens consistently. One basic swamp, just so we can Goryo's Vengeance through Blood Moon. Otherwise, the sideboard, it's broken down into 2 very specific types. First off, we have ways to protect our combo. Nature's Claim, to deal with Graveyard Hate. Sultai Charm, to deal with Graveyard Hate. Beseiju, who shelters all, to deal with counter spells. So all ways that we can force our combo through disruption. Then we have the backup plan, which is if we think our opponent's bringing in a bunch of Rest in Pieces, Ley Line of the Voids, Surgical Extractions, we can sideboard in cards that allow us to win without our graveyard, which is Through the Breach, along with Devoted Druid to add extra mana quickly, more copies of Emrakul, because Emrakul is very strong off of a Through the Breach, and then an Nahiri the Harbinger as well, which can deal with some graveyard hate, exiles enchantments, or tapped artifacts, so it does help as kind of a weird way to protect our graveyard. Also could just tick it up a couple turns, get an Emrakul or a Narset, and go to win that way. So that's our backup plan if the graveyard gets shut down. A couple more Lightning X's for removal, and that is the deck. So that is London Narset Combo, a deck that, according to Frank Carson's testing, if you don't get disrupted, wins on turn 2 more than 50% of the time, which is absurd. So let me know what you think. How busted is this deck with the new mulligan rule? Are you expecting this at Mythic Championship London this weekend? Like, is this what Modern is now? Is it just the craziest, fastest combos ever because of this new mulligan rule? What's your experience? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.